Following the success of Photography FAQ1, we thought it'd be a good idea to come out and address some more of your frequently asked questions. And seeing as Lorna has got some Haribo Tangfastic in her pocket and has promised to give me some, provided we get home early tonight, let's go for a walk on the beach and get on with it. I'm focusing. I use single point autofocus most of the time because that means there's one part of the viewfinder, which is the dot. I can put it onto my subject, focus the camera, tell the focus where to lock onto, and then I know which part of the picture is sharp. Now let's suppose that my single point autofocus dot is in the middle of the viewfinder right now. If you focus the camera, what's going to be in focus? The horizon, the shoreline over there. But if I'm the point of the picture, it's me that you need to have in focus. So you move that single point onto my face, press the shutter button halfway, there'll be a beep, cameras lock the focus. Now you can recompose the picture, and provided you keep first pressure on that button, it will hold that focus. Now there are times when I might move that dot around the viewfinder because it's very useful. If you're photographing a flower or something that's moving around in the breeze, I want the focus to happen almost the instant the shot is taken, in case the flower moves a little bit and knocks itself out of focus. I'm also very forgetful, so let's say I've forgotten to move that autofocus point to a certain place and it's up over here somewhere. When you go to take the picture, what have you got to do? You've got to put that focus point on the place you want it to focus. So you move the camera across, you stick that autofocus point right onto my face, you do the beepy thing with the focus button, hold it, recompose the picture, and take it. They're just two different ways of working. I prefer to focus on my subject and then recompose the shot, whereas other people prefer to move the autofocus point around. A very good friend of mine, German photographer Verena Neuhaus, she works all the time by composing her shot and then moving the autofocus point to the place she wants the focus to be. I don't move that fast because I'm a bit fumbly. It's your call. There is no right or wrong, there isn't one better than the other, it's just what works for you. Well, that's a call for you because it depends what you're taking a picture of. Whatever you're taking a picture of will govern which autofocus mode you need to use. There are 3 films about autofocus modes because it's too big a question to answer in an FAQ. Click the links below, go and have a look.
No!
I'm checking the composition. I'm running my eye all around the viewfinder, all along the top here, down this side and down this side to make sure all the gaps line up. If I've got a person in the shot, is the gap between the top of their head and the side of the picture what I want it to be? Is the horizon level, is the gap between sky and horizon on this side, like this, the same as it is on this side over here between the top of the frame and the bottom? It's just lining everything up, and then the very last thing I do, if there's a person in it, is look at them before I press the shutter to make sure they're okay. I don't like wonky pictures, so I do spend a moment looking around and also checking for seagulls and stray birds, stuff like that. Basically, I'm lazy. The great thing about using a tripod when you have time to do it is that you can set up your composition, you can look all around the viewfinder, you can line everything up, make sure the horizon's straight, and then lock the tripod head into place. And then once that's locked, you know that that piece of work is dealt with. Then you've got time to look at things like depth of field, which will tell you your aperture. And when you know your aperture, you can start to work with your shutter speed. So I love tripods because I'm lazy. I use 2. My lightweight tripod is a Benbow, this old boy here, and loads of you have asked me which model of Benbow tripod it is, and I'd love to tell you, but as you can see it's very battered, it's had a lot of hard life and there's no label left on it. It's been worn completely away. I have no idea which model this is, but it was a great investment. I bought this 20 years ago and it's still going strong. The head is a Manfrotto. I'm not quite sure which model of head it is. I did go online to the Manfrotto website and looked at all the pictures to see if I could find out so I could tell you, but I can't find it anywhere, so I can only assume they no longer make it. But it's a very good quick release ball and socket head. Tripod was probably 150 quid when I bought it 20 years ago, and I would say probably 120 quid for the head. But what a great investment, 20 years of life I've got out of that. My other tripod is this baby. It's big and it's heavy. This is a Manfrotto. I think it's it's an 058 Manfrotto tripod. It weighs a ton. It's very, very sturdy. But what I really like about it is these little quick release buttons here. So if I want to drop the legs down, I just press and shake, and there you go. How quick is that? And you can adjust it really easily just by pressing a button and letting go. The other great thing with this tripod is because it weighs a ton, I might be a bit lazy about my composition, but it's a great upper body workout. Moving this around all day long, you can get some superb definition into pecs, lats, upper shoulder muscles. You should see what I look like under my shirt.
Go on then, get your shirt off.
No. I use aperture priority almost all of the time because by controlling my aperture, I'm controlling something creative. I'm controlling my depth of field, and I'm letting the camera go away and find a shutter speed to work for me. Aperture priority, or AV, aperture value, is my preferred option. I don't like shutter priority because if I set a fast shutter speed, there's a good chance that my camera won't be able to find a big enough aperture to work with it if we're in quite low light. But if I use aperture priority, I can set the widest aperture that I can use, I can set a higher ISO and know that the camera will always give me the fastest shutter speed that it can. I use manual exposure quite a bit for commercial work and almost always if I'm using flash, but you don't have to do it all the time. But it's very, very useful to understand what the camera does and times when it will get it wrong so that you can step in and use manual exposure to fix things. Program. Do I use program? I don't really use program at all. Maybe occasionally if I'm using it outdoors, high speed movement, a wedding, action, stuff like that. And I'm using a fill-in flash at the same time because I know the flash and the camera will speak to each other. So which mode do I use? Aperture priority most of the time, manual occasionally, and that's really about it. I threw like a girl then. It depends what you're doing and what your preference is. Which metering mode is best is much too big a question to answer in a single few sentences of an FAQ. Go and watch the metering modes films and they will explain all about it for you. Possibly, but only the tiniest, teeniest little bit. Because if you're using an FX lens on a DX sensor camera, your light is projecting past either side of the sensor, so therefore, in theory, your sensor is picking up all the light from the sweet spot of the lens. So in theory, your image quality will be better. Are you going to notice it? I doubt it. To be honest, this is stuff I don't give any brain space to at all because is it that important? I mean, really? Using an FX lens on a DX sensor does affect your field of view because it narrows it. It has the effect of making the lens longer because it's projecting onto a smaller space. Let me show you quickly. Let's have a drawing in the sand. Let's assume this is your lens. Light is going into it in this direction. It is projecting out of the back into your camera body onto the sensor, this bit here. So the light is coming through and projecting onto the sensor. That's a really crap arrow. There we go. That is projecting onto the sensor and it's recording an image. So this is an FX sensor, let's say, on a FX lens. A DX sensor is smaller. So if this represents a DX sensor like this, then the light that's coming out to the sides, which has come from the edges of the lens here and here, that light is projecting here and it's missing the sensor. So in theory, you are getting the best quality from your lens by using an FX lens on a DX sensor. But really, it doesn't matter that much. The only possible thing to think about is if you're going to use it the other way around. If you put a DX lens on an FX sensor, you may get cropping because the DX lens isn't pushing the light out so far. It's only pushing light into here and here because it's meant to hit a sensor this size, not that size. And so if you can't tell your camera that you are using an FX lens on a DX camera, you might get black vignetting on the edges. But honestly, that's about all there is to it. It makes my brain hurt, so don't worry about it too much. whenever you feel that you want to be honest with you. But also ask yourself, is changing from a compact actually an upgrade to a DSLR? A DSLR will give you certain flexibility to do things that a compact can't, such as change lenses, etc. But the image quality of a compact camera made in the last 12 months is probably going to be way, way better than a DSLR made 5 years ago. I would say they're more complementary than an upgrade. Ooh. Nom nom nom.